decided to do the same thing that I did for Mushroom Cloud Godzilla, and that is doing the painting. And now we're going to talk about the figure. But before we do that, I want to talk about the color that I'd used before we get into any of the this guy's abilities and everything. What I did for the main body is pavement mixed with brown. Now you are also going to cover the dorsal plates so you can get it on the bottom part, and then just take light gray on the tips right here. But also the claws and teeth is bone color, antique white and caramel mix, or unless you can find bone color. But also for the neck and head, this is a dark red color. It's not showing red on here, but it is a dark red. Now for the eyes, that is antique white, brown for the iris, and then a little black dot for the pupil. Now I don't know how good y'all will be able to see it. Let's zoom in and see if we can see it or not. I don't know how good if y'all can see it or not on here. Now, granted, I already know y'all probably noticed this, but there is a little bit of an overbrushed right here. Now, I didn't notice that at first, and I wish I would have, but you know what? Because of this character's origins, and we'll talk about that here in a second, but I want to at least say that I left that thinking maybe we could say that that's just the bone under the skin right here that hasn't grown back or has not regenerated yet. I mean, it's the same thing, but also that is all I wanted to say on that. So we're going to zoom back out. All right, now for this guy's abilities, well, you know what? Let's do the size comparison first before we get into everything, before I forget everything. So first up, the figure is a 2.5 inch scale. It's size after this figure, as well as Mushroom Cloud Godzilla. Now, I didn't really know too much on this character's scaling, because in the videos I've seen, its scaling was kind of all over the place, where he was small like the original or larger than Legendary. So I kind of just went with this. If anyone knows its actual size, let me know in the comments. Next up, we have Mushroom Cloud Godzilla himself, since he was still on the table. Now, this is something we don't see that often, is two horror characters at the same time in the videos. Even when I'm doing the not bosses, you don't really see it that often. But we're going to move him out the way before something happens. Now, last up, we have Legendary. This is the Playmates minifigure. Now, I pulled him out because in the one video I saw Legendary versus Bloodbath. Bloodbath was slightly taller than Legendary, and I think it was about this size, or it could have been slightly more. Now, it would have been like standing like this if I would have done the legs in the right way, but just in a regular stance, I think it works out. So we're going to move you out the way. Now, for everything else we need to talk about Bloodbath. Now, Bloodbath is a horror type monster, and I will say a horror character because of its backstory and what this is able to do. This is basically a walking corpse, or zombie, but mostly a walking corpse. I think it's about the same thing, or unless there's a difference between the two. I'm not too sure on that. But either way, the body is actually meant to be a whale that was washed up on shore and everything that happened to it. It ended up being possessed by spirits for vengeance. And that is where Bloodbath right here comes into play. Now, it ended up growing arms and legs and the back plates to take out its vengeance. And I'm just saying that, I'm just guessing that because its body is based off of a whale, but it does not have the whale quality, instead the head. The head's the only thing that you can tell that was a whale. But other than that, we're gonna keep going. Now with this character's ability, being a walking corpse, it feels no pain and can regenerate its body. I've seen one video where its arm was ripped off and then it places it back on with tendrils. I don't know what else to say on that part, but also how the figure turned out. I didn't have all these like sharp edges on the character before I printed it. But also you can look at the neck and head. Look at the arms. They don't have the sharp edges like the lower part of the body, but the tail goes back to the rounder type look to the tip. But the legs have like the skin. I'm looking at like the skin is just been stretched over the muscle, the bone, and everything just to cover itself. And that's why it has like these bumps. The skin looks like it's ripped up and everything. But I didn't plan that. And when you look at the knees and everything, like this knee is like all like stretched over itself. Like this one is just got stuff on it and everything. I didn't do nothing to this figure. Instead, adding the two fingers right here and the claws. The claws weren't even there. The tips of the toes weren't even there. So I filled that in with green stuff, my bad. And the fingers right here was green stuff. Now, granted, I could just remove the arm and print out a new one, placed it, but I didn't. Could have did the same thing for the legs. I didn't. Because of the character being what it is, I decided to keep that horror theme. Like when you look at this arm, look how the finger is bent one way. And these fingers right here are barely not even there. It says it looks like they're regenerating themselves back on. Just like when you look at this fingers right here. Now, granted, I did fill in the thumb right here and a little bit of the finger on this side. But when you look at these two fingers, they are just barely there and kind of like all like wavy looking, like they're like growing back. I kind of just thought that just gave it more of that horror theme to it. Or that grotesque look to it. And I think that it did. So I decided to leave that. But also, something else I just noticed when I turned it, looking inside the character's head right here. Now, granted, there's nothing meant to be there. It's meant to be just a hole right here, showing that it only has this one part connecting the bottom jaw. But when I turn the camera, let's see if I bring it up closer. You can see when I rotate it downwards or move it, you can see these lines inside. Now, granted, those are supports that I thought I removed, but looking at it now, that just looks like it's muscle fibers and some skin that's just been stretched, like trying to hold itself together, and it just makes it look even more horrifying on there. It says when you look like through this side, you don't see it on this side unless I turn it this way. But I think I did a pretty good job on this to keep that like terrifying theme to it. But I don't really know too much on other than that what I've said. Now, granted, this would actually make a good horror film, and that would be awesome to see. Instead, the part where he's gonna barf up all of his insides and everything just to use as a heat ray or atomic breath, that would probably be a little much, but it'd still be awesome to see live action. But just seeing what we see in little short films, you don't see like the blood and everything. Imagine this in live action. But also imagine what would happen to the people that did not get vaporized by his atomic or heat ray. They would go through the part where they would mutate and like bodies be all distorted and everything else. And you seeing that live action, it'd be like watching The Thing but probably more gruesome or more gore and everything than everything else. Be awesome we could see that, but I don't see that ever like happening anytime soon. But I think I'm done with that. I'm gonna go and end this here. I hope everybody likes how Bloodbath ended up coming out, and I will see everybody next time.